Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We have about 25 people here with us today. Hopefully more will join soon. Thank you so much for joining us for another Bachpan Manao Masterclass. Today we have with us representatives from Ashoka and Saajha. We have Colin, who's the Global Program Coordinator from Ashoka, and we have Sudeepa, who's the Manager Partnerships. I can tell you a little bit about them and then hand over. So Ashoka has been supporting social entrepreneurs who are creating positive change in the country for the last few decades. Having witnessed the changing patterns in society over the last few decades, Ashoka has realized that to truly make things better for everyone, we need to head towards a world where everyone is a change maker. And just like social entrepreneurs, the world needs everyone to start developing and practicing abilities and skills such as empathy, teamwork, leadership, and problem solving. Ashoka believes that change making has to start young, and in the last few decades has developed a program called the Young Change Maker for Young Change Makers, called the Ashoka Young Change Makers program. We have with us here Sudeepa, the manager of partnerships at Saajha, and she'll be taking us through insights on Saajha's program on young change makers. Saajha is deeply committed to empowering parents and unlocking their potential to foster better child development. Since their inception in 2014, they have been driving public education reforms in India through parent and community leadership. Saajha's mission is to create an ecosystem where parents feel connected, supported, and empowered to make meaningful impact on their children's lives and spearhead transformative change. Today's masterclass is an opportunity to viewing our children as change makers and the simple practical actions that can be taken to make that happen. Today's masterclass is essentially a way for caring adults, whether parents or teachers, of seeing and celebrating children for who they are and who they can be. With that, I'm going to hand over to Colin to take us forward. Thank you.
Shukriya, thank you so much. Hi, everybody. I am thrilled to be here. Welcome all. It's nice to have so many folks coming. Yes, my name is Colin. I work for Ashoka. I'm actually based in the United States, though I have spent a good amount of time in India traveling. And my work is to ask the question, how do we help every young person realize their power to make a positive difference? And not only that, how do we help the adults around them, whether that's parents, whether that's educators, whether that's communities of faith that they belong to support their kids to be change makers, to realize they have this power. And as we'll see over the next 60 to 75 minutes, everyone has this potential. It's just a matter of realizing it and then practicing it. And so we're going to go on a little adventure together. And I'm grateful to be here. So thank you, Bachpan Manao. And I'm also grateful to be here with our partner, Sudeepa and Saajha. We've been working together to answer that question. How do we get more adults, more families practicing this, this very powerful way of moving through the world and navigating through change? So before I jump in, this is not just a presentation, this is a conversation. And so I'm going to be at some points turning the microphone over to you all, and it would be lovely to have some of you share in the chat or unmute and share your experiences. We will also be having some time to go into breakout rooms to have smaller conversations about certain topics. So my hope is that this will be a fun, engaging session, one that is will include very enriching conversations. So that being said, I have a couple of slides and I'll be sharing on and off. But I'd love to get started. This workshop is called The Power of Your Kids because it's not about necessarily changing anything you do. We all have our own lives. We're all very busy in our own ways. What I would like to invite us all on is a journey not to change what we do, but how we think. How we think about young people. What is our mindset when we look at the children in our lives? And forgive me, there is a dog in the background, but I think he's going to be a good boy today. So, as Hita mentioned, Ashoka is an organization. We're active in over 95 countries. We've been around for over 4 decades, and we have been working to find and connect some of the world's most powerful social entrepreneurs. These are people who are solving social problems in their communities, who are changing policy, making powerful differences. And we noticed that there are people in these communities that have these qualities of being a change maker. They imagine a new reality, they take action, and they work together with other people to bring that new reality into being. And the benefit of what they create is not just for one person, it's not just for one community, it's for everybody. Change makers are always thinking about how can we make this a win-win situation for everyone. So we're going to have our first little, conversation, but we're just going to start by sharing in the chat. So I would love everyone just to pause for a moment and think of a person in your life who has helped you create positive change. Who were they? And maybe it's more than one person, but just for now, just pick one person. And maybe you know them personally, but maybe they are someone who has inspired you in difficult times to keep going. And I'd love for you to share in the chat, who is this person and what qualities did they have that helped you to feel that way, that helped you to feel like you could make a difference, like you were powerful in your own right. Yes, Archana, thank you. My father, because he believed in his children. That's beautiful. Yeah, everyone just take a moment, type away. Also, I practice yoga and am a meditation teacher, so I'm very comfortable with stillness. So if it's quiet, that is totally okay. I'm happy to hold that space. So take a second. We'll answer the question in the chat. Yeah, my teacher. Hmm. Who is that person? And what's the quality? What is it about them that helped you feel that way? Yeah, father, a close friend who believed that I could change and impact things around me, my teacher. These are beautiful answers. For me, it is most certainly my mother. I mean, both of my parents, I'm lucky that they believed in me and supported me, but my mother in particular always encouraged me to be thinking about others and to take action even when I doubted myself. Friends, cheerleaders. I love reading these comments. So as we read these and see from other people who has helped them to feel powerful, my question for you all, are you this person for the children in your life? Are you this person for the children in your life? Because that's what we're hoping for. That's what this is all about, is how do we help more people step into this role, this power? So I want to share a little bit about the context because the world is changing. I think that's clear to everyone. And in some ways, it's like a new reality that's defined by change. And we're seeing this in our environment, in the extreme climate events that are happening with more and more frequency, with levels of pollution that are going up. And this is, all part of a broader system of we are using more energy than ever before. We're releasing more carbon dioxide than ever before. And there are some real challenges that are coming out of this, not just now, but that are only going to be more intense as time passes. We're also seeing huge changes in our technology, in the way that we connect. I mean, just the fact that I am here in South Carolina in the United States, able to share and speak and connect with you all is mind-blowing to me. Uh, and once again, like this comes with amazing opportunities that have never existed before, in the way that we're able to learn new things, the way that we're able to see the people we care about from so far away. And this is also revolutionizing our work. It's changing work from more traditional careers to more of a gig economy in certain ways with Swiggy and Ola and Urban Clap. We're seeing the ability to work from home or work from not having to come into an office to work. We're seeing new technologies creating jobs that didn't even exist 5 years ago, much less 20 years ago. And then, of course, and this picture on the left is generated by AI. And the prompt was India in the year 3000. And so AI is another piece of this that is just part of this change that is not just happening fast, but it's going to be happening faster and faster and faster. I have a phone that I use, and the number of different messaging apps that exist today is overwhelming. So there's so much opportunity, but there's also so many new challenges to navigate. But I'm going to turn it over to you once again for a little breakout discussion. We're going to go into breakout rooms of 3 to 5 people, and we're going to just take 5 minutes. So I encourage you to let everybody share, stay curious, and if someone else is speaking, be respectful, listen. How is the world children are growing up in today different than the world you grew up in? That's the prompt. And I'm going to pop that in the chat just so we have it there. How is the world kids are growing up in today different than the world you grew up in? We are going to go into breakout rooms once again, just for 5 minutes or so. Is that clear for everyone, what we're going to be sharing? Yep. Thank you, Balchandra. Okay. I saw one thumbs up from Balchandra, so we're gonna say we're good. Varun, if you're able to, let's open those breakout rooms. We can pause the recording, and hopefully I wish you all a interesting conversation. Nice to see you all again. For those of you who are in breakout rooms where folks shared, I would love to just hear, if you pop in the chat, what is something that came up for you? Where are you seeing change? And then it would also be helpful because I think there were some people who maybe the instructions weren't clear or you're not able to speak right now for whatever reason. If you are able to unmute and share your voice and understand me clearly, please just make a little thumbs up emoji, just so we can see who is listening and who's able to share. Okay, Orvashi, beautiful, Sahana. Okay, so just a couple of folks. Yeah, Akansha, thank you. Radhika. Okay, and we're getting some great things in the chat. Neil. Okay, cool. So there's a couple of folks. That's good to hear. Thank you. And thank you for sharing in the chat. Yeah, technology is so different today than it was when all of us grew up, although that might be many years apart. Um, yeah, the amount of information that young people are presented with today, that children are exposed to, traditional methods of learning versus application-based learning, diminishing personal interaction. Yeah, totally. These are all fantastic observations of how our world is changing. Um, and as we're, talking about this, we've spoken about some of the opportunities that are present, but we also have to face the challenges of change. And in many ways, the change is taking existing inequalities, existing challenges, and amplifying them. It's making them even more intense, even more extreme. And we like to think of this as a new inequality um, between those who are able to adapt and navigate this change, who learn the skills to handle this change, and those who are unable to do so, whether because they don't have the opportunity or they have disadvantages on a systemic level that are keeping them from navigating change. And so, I mean, some examples of how change is amplifying inequality is income inequality. This is a chart from Credit Suisse in 2018. So even just 6 years ago, showing the richest 1% of Indian people having over 50% of the wealth of the country, and the poorest 60% only having just under 5. And over the last few years, especially during the COVID pandemic, this has only gotten more extreme, and it will only continue unless there are some real changes. If we want a visual of this is a picture in Mumbai. And this is something that is happening in different ways all over the world, where there are people who have access to certain technologies, but also certain levels of care and qualities of life, and many who don't. And the gap between them is getting larger and larger. Um, One thing that I saw largely here in the US, but also globally, is inequalities in health and healthcare. Uh, with the COVID pandemic, talk about rapid change. In just a few months, the whole world looked completely different. And it really made it even more clear that some people had the support to get medication they needed, to get the resources, and to have the communities of support around them. And other people were at a far greater disadvantage. And so it intensified healthcare inequality. And then finally, and this is a huge one, education inequality. The internet has made so many amazing things possible. With an internet connection, we can talk to people around the world. We can learn almost anything. I mean, even today, I'm grateful to my father who's taught me some things, but now when I am going around where I live and I see something, oh, something's broken, but I don't know how to fix it, I can just pull up YouTube and look at, oh, okay, how to fix a toilet, for example. And it's an amazing opportunity, but and especially as AI is coming into the picture, those who have the ability to and access to use this technology are going to continue to have an advantage. And for those who don't, uh, they will be at a severe disadvantage, ever more so as technology, as these resources, as these opportunities increase for certain groups of people. So, and we've been talking about this, change is a double-edged sword. There's a positive and there's also a negative. There's an opportunity and there's a challenge. But I want to ask everyone once again, and given that last time, only a couple of people were in breakout rooms and actually able to share, we're going to take some time together in this large group. And we'll use the chat because I think people are a little more comfortable with that. If someone is feeling brave and would like to unmute and share their thoughts, I would love to hear them. But the prompt is, where do you see deepening inequalities in your neighborhood? And let's just start there. Before we get to community, before we get to country, where do you see inequality showing up in your neighborhood, right around you? So I'll stop sharing so I can see some of your faces and some of your names. We'll just take a few minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, to just think and reflect and share. I'll put it in the chat again. Yeah, Elizabeth, thank you for sharing. Oops. Yeah, housing. People with access to certain levels of housing. and then care workers. Yeah, Varun, I see you got your hand raised.
Yeah, I just want to share one particular experience I had. So, about a couple of years ago, I was working in Jharkhand, and I just noticed how a lot of youth did not have access to good jobs, and this was in a rural part, right? So, I feel like there's a huge inequality in terms of job opportunities and job creation, and how everything moves to an urban area, but semi-urban and rural, it just sort of dies down. So, yeah, that's one thing that I noticed.
Yeah, change perhaps driving the availability of jobs in urban areas and leaving rural areas with less opportunity. Yeah, nice observation. Urvashi, I saw your hand was up, but then you put it down and you went off video. So if you'd like to share, you're welcome to. Um, yeah, Balchandra, absence of siblings. And I'm curious to hear from you, how do you see that as an inequality?
Actually, Colin, this is the answer to that our earlier breakout discussion. So it
Oh,
got
got it.
posted later.
Yeah, so
Nothing.
it's how you've seen.
I apologize. Sorry, nothing to do with this. But I
Right.
can just to answer this inequalities in the neighborhood, as what Varun said. Yes, there is the what we see in the rural areas next to the city that I live, and the city, there is a huge difference. Just as you cross over, you see in the there is not much of there are not many jobs. The connectivity is, I mean, very bad compared to the city in the fossil towns. So I will say the connectivity, the transport facilities, and the availability of jobs, and also
Mhm.
the education, the kind of education that they have in the villages or is very bad.
Yeah, yeah, definitely a large contrast. And, as we think about young children today, in the next 10 years, is this only going to get more intense or is this going to improve? Right? Like when they are teenagers, what will the situation be? Because that's our opportunity, right? That's our chance to practice change making, to maybe improve the situation, to reduce that new inequality so that more people are able to navigate this world. Um, yeah, also education work responsibility. Yeah, even electricity access, water supply, education. Yeah, there are some very real challenges that we're facing, not just globally, but locally in our own neighborhoods. And so we're going to continue. I'm so grateful to everybody who shared. Thank you so much for sharing your insights, your experiences. Um, I want to just recap. So we are living in a time of rapid change. Many jobs that people will have don't exist yet. They're using technologies that are being invented or haven't been invented yet. And they're trying to solve problems that are constantly changing. So how do we move through this world? And in many ways, it's like playing a new game. It's a game that is decided by change. One of my favorite comics that I think describes this really well is it is August 20th, 2024. And we have, as a society, as a country, as a community, things are changing. We have made great strides in many ways. But here's the thing. What has got us here is not going to get us to that brighter future that we want for our children. We need to make a change. Something, and many things probably, need to change. And now, this is not to say that what has been happening so far is bad or wrong. There's no judgment here. The question is, what's working, what's not working? And the fact is, if we look around, there are many things that are not working as well as they could be. So at Ashoka, we like to think about it as playing an old game of working together as a society, and then this new game that will take us to where we need to go, where we want to go for ourselves, but also for our children. The old game was defined by a couple of different qualities. The old game, we used to play it, we tried to create efficiency through repetition. We would learn one skill, one craft, and we would practice it and do it again and again and again and again, often in the same way for decades. And this is still the case for many people. But we were trying to create efficiency through repetition, and people became experts, but the experts weren't necessarily speaking to each other. We had silos of expertise. One place this shows up today, even quite strongly, is in our education system or in our universities and colleges, where we have different departments. We have the social sciences, we have the history, we have the culture, we have theater, but they're not connecting to each other. And that's a missed opportunity, is everyone is focused on their own thing. Even in companies, there is a rigid hierarchy. There's a very clear order of who is working for who. I'm the boss. I tell these people what to do. And the kind of transfer of value was transactional. I will give you this much money for this service. And once the transaction is completed, we're finished, we move on. And then the last part of this old game is that there were many barriers to information. If you wanted to learn a new skill, it was very difficult to do so because you had to find somebody who knew that skill, who would then offer you the opportunity to learn it. And so, for me in this world, it's sitting in front of a computer or in front of a crafting stand, doing the same thing every day for the rest of our lives. That's the old game. Once again, no judgment. It's not wrong. It has worked so well for so many people for so long, but something has to change. And so this is a chance to explore a new game where efficiency doesn't come from doing the same thing again and again, but from creativity, from thinking of new ways to do the same things, from innovating, from coming up with new solutions, where leadership is not a rigid hierarchy, it's shared. We see leadership as an opportunity to help everyone contribute, to help everyone be powerful. And then we have a mindset of continuous learning. Things are changing so fast. We can't just stick with the skills that we learned as young people. We need to have a mindset and be open to constantly learning new things. There's an open-mindedness that comes with this. And working together, not as a transaction, but to build relationships. Because as you have mentioned, we are becoming more disconnected as a society. And we need to come back into community, into relationship, so that we can support each other through the challenging times ahead. And then transparency of information. The internet has been a powerful way to level the playing field. If you have a phone or a computer at home with internet, you can learn almost anything, which is great. And also makes a challenge for young children who maybe we don't want them to know certain things until a certain age. But as long as they have an internet connection, we can't stop them. So we need to have a new way of setting boundaries, a new way of communicating, one that's a little more open and flexible. Now, this comes into what Ashoka has been doing for the last 40 years. We've been asking the question, if the world is changing, how do we deal with this change on a weekly, daily, or even hourly basis? What's the way through this? And our answer is, we create a world where everyone is a change maker, where everyone realizes that they can start to be part of the solution, that they can see something in their community that maybe isn't right and ask themselves, what can I do about it? Who do I need on my team? How can we solve this problem and come up with solutions that are better? Because right now, it feels like the problems are outpacing the solutions. But if everyone is a change maker, the solutions will start to outpace the problems. That's our vision. And that's my invitation for all of us to start thinking about this and start looking at our children not as passive subjects that we need to shepherd like sheep through the system, but thinking about our children as powerful actors who just need the opportunity, the encouragement, and the support to realize that they can make a huge difference. Even if it is a small change, there can be huge differences. So I would love to share what we have learned from over 40 years of bringing together some of the world's most powerful change makers. What are the skills? What are the competencies that are helpful in navigating a changing world? And as I said previously, we define a change maker as anyone who imagines a new reality, takes action, and works together with others to make that reality happen for the good of everyone. So the competencies that we have distilled, the first one is conscious empathy. If we want to raise children to realize that they have power, to start solving problems in their communities, they must be able to not just empathize, but take action based on that empathy. And empathy is not, empathy we often think of as putting ourselves in someone else's shoes, understanding our own perspective and other perspectives. Conscious empathy is a little different because we take it a step further. It's not enough to just experience what someone else is experiencing. We have to value their experience and then take action, do something about it to address often what's the root of the issue, not just the symptoms of the problem. Conscious empathy, the first competency. And one thing I'll say too, these are competencies. These are skills and abilities developed over time. We can't just have a workshop and expect people to be change makers. It's an investment. It's a practice. So that being said, the second competency we've seen is the importance of flexible teamwork. Working together to address changing problems or opportunities. Because if we have rigid teams, well, somebody might be in a position of leadership that has an expertise. But if the problem is changing and a new expertise is needed, the team needs to be able to adapt, to change, to face this problem. And it requires open and clear communication, another essential skill for thriving through change. So we have conscious empathy, flexible teamwork. The third competency is shared leadership. And I touched on this earlier. Often we think of leadership as, okay, I'm in charge. Now I have to tell everyone what to do so that they can make something happen. Shared leadership is an invitation to think of everybody as a leader. And when we are in a position of leadership, our charge, our task is to help everyone contribute in their own way, to leverage the gifts and unique abilities that everyone brings to the table, because we all have them, and every child has these unique gifts and abilities. The final competency is practicing change-making. Practicing change-making takes all of this and pulls it together. It takes conscious empathy, seeing a challenge, empathizing with people, and maybe even our own experience, and deciding to take action. Finding a group of people to work together with, and sharing leadership, sharing responsibility, helping everyone feel powerful, and then coming up with solutions that are more just, more equitable, more sustainable, and effective than any that exist already. And once we come up with a solution, to keep developing and improving and working to make it even better and better and better. That is practicing change making. And we believe that truly everyone has this potential. But to illustrate these, because I could talk about this for a long time, I would love to share a story. And this is a story of a young change maker from Ashoka's network of powerful young change makers. We call them Ashoka Young Change Makers. And it's just a 3-minute video. As I share the video, I would encourage everyone just to keep in mind those 4 competencies: empathy, teamwork, leadership, and change making. And I also want to emphasize, and this is really important, the video of the young person I'm about to share, she is an advanced change maker. She is already quite far along her journey. Change making does not mean saving the world or coming up with a new initiative. It can be as simple as volunteering. It can be as simple as having a hard conversation with a friend to solve a problem for them or to solve a challenge. There's so many different ways to practice change making. So that being said, I'd love to share my video and my sound. If you cannot hear, please just let me know because I can't see you all. So I'd love to introduce Sri Lakshmi.
Smoking is one of the major causes of early death, responsible for 8 billion deaths every year. And in fact, statistics point that 1.2 million deaths is due to exposure of second-hand smoke by non-smokers. I discerned that smoking had taken the life of many people that I knew, including my grandfather. I couldn't help but think of all the families on which smoking had left a scar. I knew at that moment that I had to do something. I'm Sri Lakshmi and I started Quit to Care QTC when I was 14, and I aim to see the world free from the clutches of tobacco addiction and its consequences. I talked to my parents who extended complete support for my initiative, and I talked to a few of my friends who shared a like-mindedness, and together we brainstormed on what we could actually do to make a difference in the situation. And then Quit to Care was born. After forming a group, we tried to understand what the public mindset was about tobacco consumption. We talked to a hypermarket authority and were allowed to set a stall at their premises, and we talked to the customers to know what they thought about smoking and how their lives were affected by people who smoke. We tried to reach our friends, our families, our neighbors, and even our school authorities to make them more aware about how smoking is increasing at an alarming rate. QTC now has clubs in almost 290 schools in the district, and we have about 5,000 individuals, teachers, students, healthcare workers, social workers who are now part of this cause. Empathy is what actually makes you connect with another human being out there. If you want to understand what they're going through, empathy is really necessary. Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and trying to reflect on the experiences that they have gone through can bring a huge difference even in our day-to-day life. For me, being a change maker is that moment when you stop complaining about the issues that you're surrounded with and take the first step towards achieving your aim or to bring a solution to that issue. Being a part of this global movement to create more change makers, I want to inspire each and every young one out there that they hold the key to change, that they have the power to make a difference no matter how small it is. A world where everyone's a change maker would be one that has solutions to each and every crisis that comes up. A world where there is co-ownership and collaboration and there is collective growth. That would be a world of change makers.
Alrighty. Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. I hope that you enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm biased, I shared it, so. But before we move on, I have just a couple questions for you all. And these are not questions that you need to answer in the chat. These are questions just to consider, to think about after the video. And I'll share them on the screen. In your own mind, do you see all young people, as powerful contributors? Is a young person in your life realizing their potential as a change maker. And what does our future look like if every child embraces their power as a change maker? What does your neighborhood look like? What does your city, your town look like? What does the country look like? And beyond that, the world. This is the world that Ashoka and our partners, this is the world we're trying to build together, because we can't do it alone. In the spirit of change making, we need that flexible teamwork. We need that shared leadership. And so this is our opportunity. Now, that being said, I would love to just quickly share some insights, because we reached out to 30 of our Ashoka fellows and we asked them, how did the adults support you to be a change maker when you were young? And here's what they said. First, adults exposed them to different perspectives. And whether you are responsible for programs or you're part of an organization that works with children, I invite you, as I share these, just to think how you might be able to integrate some of these into your own work, your own programs. Exposing young people to different perspectives. This could be reading books from different communities, or trying food from different cultures, or going to neighborhoods that may be at a disadvantage, or volunteering at a place where older people are living, or at a hospital. There are many ways to do this, but they were exposed to different perspectives, which helps build that empathy. Another insight: adults nurtured their children's inherent curiosity and passion. When children showed an interest, adults were paying attention. They were listening, and they encouraged that interest. They asked them questions. Oh, what do you like about this? What do you find interesting? Where can we learn more about this kind of thing? Perhaps they even found resources or websites or books or people in their network that they could connect their children to, just so that they could learn more about what they really care about. And then the third insight: adults gave children opportunities to practice leadership and take responsibility at an early age. This might look like giving a child the chance to pack their own bag for school, or helping them cook a meal, as we might see later when Sudeepa shares, or learning how to handle an emergency, learning CPR training for, there's, once again, I'm just kind of throwing out examples of how we can start to believe in our children. We had one educator, they went through this workshop and they went back to their classroom and they said, we are going to help every child feel responsible for this room. So every week she would give a different child responsibility for keeping the classroom clean. And they feel real ownership and also power because we trust them. We believe in them to have responsibility. So these are 3 insights. I want to share just 2 examples quickly that highlight all of these. The first, imagine 2 children, 2 little boys are fighting, and one of them hits the other, and there's tears and crying, and maybe you're familiar with this. Maybe, it's 2 girls in your space, or a boy and a girl, whatever, right? 2 young kids are fighting. When this happens, this is an amazing opportunity to start to build that competency of conscious empathy. We start by practicing ourselves, by leading with example. We go to perhaps the brother who hit the other, not the victim, but the one who caused the harm. And we connect with them. We say, oh, you must have been upset when you did that. We show them that we are here with them. And even though it wasn't right, we're not going to immediately push them away. So we empathize ourselves. You must have been upset when you did that. And then we invite curiosity to the experience of the other person. How do you think your brother felt when you hit them, when you did that? And why do you think he responded the way he did, with tears or with trying to hit you back, whatever it might have been? And so once we build that curiosity, we build that empathy and the perspectives, then we give them a little responsibility. We ask them, what can we do about it now? What do you think we can do about it now? What will make this right? And in that way, we are putting the young person in charge. We're putting the child in a place where they have a little better understanding of the situation, but also have a little more power to come up with a solution. So this is one very simple example that we can use with our own children or in schools. Another example, perhaps for children who are a little older, if somebody comes to you with a problem that they've noticed in their community, encourage them. That's amazing. I think it's great that you noticed that we have a water issue or that there's homelessness. Then we once again ask them, what do you think you could do about it? Is there anyone else who is working on that problem you could team up with? Remember, because teamwork is so important. And 9 times out of 10, the child is going to say, no, I don't have an idea. No, I don't know who is working. No, I'm okay. And that's okay. That's okay. But on that 10th time, or on the 15th time, or on the 20th time, when they notice a problem and you ask the questions and you encourage them, maybe they say, oh, you know what? Maybe I can do something about it. And they have an idea to take action. And this is the last part of this example. Very important because we all love children. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't be here today. And so we want them to succeed. But here's the thing. If we take over and we keep them from failing, then they will never learn how to fail. And failure is such an important, inevitable part of life. Everybody fails. Practicing change making is about failing again and again and again until we succeed. And so if you know somebody, if you have a child in your community solving a problem, you want to help them, encourage them. I believe in you. Support them. What can I do to help? But don't take over. Don't manage them. Because then we're stealing the learning from them. And when they fail, when they fall, we can be there to pick them up, to support them. So those are 2 examples. We're going to have one more discussion, and then I'm going to turn it over to my friend and colleague, Sudeepa. But just in the chat, we'll take 2 to 4 minutes. How can you use these insights in the work you're currently doing to support early childhood change making? Now, I don't know all of you. I don't know who is in the room or where you work or what role you play, whether you're an auntie or a parent or someone who works at an organization passionate about early childhood or an educator. How can you start to bring these insights into your own work? And maybe you already are, and that's a great thing to share. How are you already using some of these insights, building empathy, building teamwork, and shared leadership? So I'm going to keep these insights up. Just as we brainstorm, put in the chat or unmute if you're feeling brave, and I hope some of you are. How can you use these insights in your work so that we can together move towards a world where everyone is a change maker? In the chat. That's powerful. Listen more, instruct less. Yeah, that's something I could probably practice too. So we'll just take some time, maybe 1 more minute, to put your ideas down. How can we expose our children to different perspectives? How can we nurture their inherent curiosity and passions by asking questions? How can we give them responsibility? Yeah, Ria, act as a facilitator and not as a leader. Conversations, lots of them. 10-month-old daughter, let her decide how she wants to eat, no force feeding. Respecting her boundaries, that's beautiful, Urvashi. And maybe, a balance to strike, because sometimes I'm sure sometimes that can be frustrating. So I honor your commitment. Train my educators to be facilitators of children's learning instead of a leader. Be the change you want to be. Yes, Balchandra, lead by example. When we are practicing empathy, when we are inviting people to be leaders in our own way, when we're working together, when we're not trying to do everything on our own, we're showing our children that they don't have to either. Encouraging them to act upon their thoughts, actions speak louder than words. Yes, give valuable time from your busy schedule. Nice, Usha. And also maybe using that time to really listen, to connect with the child. So these are all great ideas. Continue to pop them in the chat, but we are going to move on to our next little section. So my hope is that you have a better understanding of what's possible, because I would love to share and introduce Sudeepa, who works with Saajha overseeing partnership projects, to share how Saajha has leveraged their tech platform to engage over 800 parents with change-making through a pilot campaign that happened earlier this year. So as you listen to Sudeepa, allow yourself to be inspired to see maybe how can we start to bring some of these ideas, some of these competencies, this mindset that every child is powerful into our own work. And so with that, I will hand it over to you, Sudeepa.
Thanks, Colin. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today to present to you about Saajha's Pilot Changemaker program. At Saajha, we support parents to strengthen their participation in children's learning and development. For us, this program holds a very special place due to its focus on fostering essential 21st century skills in children by engaging their parents directly in the process. To begin, the Changemaker program was launched with a simple yet powerful idea to equip children with essential skills like empathy, teamwork, leadership, and change making. As Colin shared earlier, these skills are critical for their future, helping them navigate complex social issues, build resilience, and contribute positively to society. The larger objective of the program is to build these skills by engaging parents and recognizing their pivotal role in their children's development. However, in this particular pilot program, we aim to understand the adaptiveness of the change-making content with the parents we work with. We included parents of children aged between 8 to 10 years who are enrolled in government schools in Delhi. Let me take you through the journey that parents embarked on during this program. It all started with an orientation where we introduced parents to the concept of change making and its importance. From there, parents received a series of activities designed to be simple yet impactful at their home environment. These activities were shared via Saajha's in-house chatbot, making it easy for the parents to participate without disrupting their daily routines. As parents engaged in these activities, they shared their experiences with us in the form of photographs, in the form of audio notes. These are the stories that highlighted the small yet significant transformations that were happening in their homes. At the end of the program, parents received certificates recognizing their active participation in the program. Our expectations for the program were very clear. We wanted parents to actively participate in nurturing these skills at home. We wanted to ensure that parents understood the importance of these skills for their children at a young age and recognize their role in helping their children develop them. We also encourage them to lead by example, as Colin mentioned, creating an environment where empathy, teamwork, leadership, and change making would thrive. Now let's delve into some of these stories that were shared by the parents. One
Deepa,
mother, yeah, yes,
sorry to
Colin.
interrupt. Are you changing the slides? Okay,
Is it
perfect. It just caught up. So thank you. Sorry to
okay?
interrupt.
Is it now on the experience slide?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you, Colin. Okay, so one mother shared this image of her son helping her in the kitchen for the very first time. What made this moment special wasn't just the act itself, but what it represented. Her son was learning empathy, understanding the importance of contributing to the family, sharing responsibilities, yet finding joy while doing this. In their shared space, they weren't just cooking a meal, they were building a deeper connection and a sense of responsibility. Other parents also shared pictures of their children taking on new responsibilities at home, like folding their clothes and cleaning their play areas, etc. These small tasks may seem simple, but they were significant steps towards developing ownership. Through these activities, children were learning to take ownership of their spaces and actions, growing in confidence as they contributed to their households. Out of the 843 parents who consented to participate in the program, almost 778 parents read at least one question and 531 responded to it. What do these questions mean to us? These are the validation of them doing the activities we send them through WhatsApp chatbot.
So Deepa,
Yeah, is it stuck?
yes, yes.
Okay. Is it visible now?
It's
Not
still on
yet.
the experiences page. Oh, there we go.
It's okay.
Next slide,
You can
please.
repeat.
It's the experience one.
It is still the experience one. Okay. Is it now pilot insight slide?
No.
Okay, which means there is a lag, I think. Let me just-
Now it's on Pilot
No,
Insights.
it's
Okay. Sorry, everyone, for this inconveniency. Okay. So I'll just share a brief insight about the pilot. So out of 843 parents who consented to participate in this program, 778 participants, they read at least one of the questions and 531 responded to it. What do these questions mean to us? These are the validation of them doing the activities we send them through WhatsApp chatbot. These metrics reflect the high level of engagement and the willingness of parents to actively participate in their children's development. Did the slide change?
No, still
Okay.
Pilot Insights.
Okay.
Now we're on sample content.
Got it. Okay. So to give you a better idea of what these activities entailed, here are some examples of the content we shared with parents. Activities focused on developing empathy, where parents encourage their children to understand and share their feelings. Activities that entailed teamwork, where they could strengthen their bond with their family and friends. Then there are activities that were ensuring that where parents could identify and help children acquire leadership attributes. And then there were activities which were associated with change making, where children learn to be aware of their surroundings. Each activity was designed to be simple yet impactful, ensuring that both parents and children could easily engage with them. Okay, did the slide change? Can someone confirm for me?
Yes.
Okay. Here you can see an example of a conversation with a parent in Saajha's chatbot. This interface was a very important element of the program. This was providing parents with an accessible platform to engage with us, learn from it, and know the stories of young change makers, and implement the activities with their children at the comfort of their home. Finally, towards the end of this Changemaker program, we asked the parents to share their experiences with us. One parent observed a positive change in their child, noting how they had stopped quarreling with other children and were now more eager to interact and play with them. This change wasn't just about the activities, it was about the shift in how the child engaged with the world around them, a shift nurtured by their parents' involvement.
Sudeepa, please change the slide. It's still stuck.
Okay. Is it at our recommendation slide now?
No, it's sample conversation.
And you could also share the recommendations without the slide. It's been nice hearing your voice.
Sure. Okay. So as we reflect on these experiences of Changemaker program, I'd like to share some key recommendations for working with parents in program like this. First, start small and think big. Begin with simple, manageable activities that parents can easily incorporate into their routines. These small steps often lead to significant transformations over time. Second, create a supportive community. Foster a sense of community among parents where they can share their experiences and learn from one another. This collective support can strengthen their commitment and amplify the impact. Third, and most important one is to celebrate successes. Acknowledge and celebrate the small victories along the way. Whether it's a child learning to fold their clothes or learning to help others, these moments deserves recognition and encouragement. And so this journey of the Changemaker program isn't just about teaching skills or learning about it. It's about creating stories, stories of connection, of growth, of families coming together in ways they hadn't before. Despite of the technical challenges, thank you so much for being patient, and thank you for letting me share these stories with you today. I hope they have shown you, as they have shown me, just how powerful the parents' involvement can be in shaping a child's future. Thank you for your time and attention. I'm happy to take any questions on the chat. Yeah, over to you, Colin.
Thank you, Sudeepa. Well, I said at the beginning we would be 60 to 75 minutes, and we are just about at time. So I have one final question for all of us to consider as we hopefully go into the rest of our days. In the evenings, I hope you all rest well. First, a large thank you to everyone who not only came to this session, but also gave your own insights, your own reflections. We're so grateful to have you here. I also would love to say a big thank you to Bachpan Manao and to our partner Saajha for making this possible. As you can tell, we believe so strongly in the power of children, not just as our future, but as our present. And so giving them those opportunities to show up, to take responsibility, to practice change making, to make a difference, are all things we are very passionate about. I have our contact information for myself at Ashoka and also for Sudeepa at Saajha on the screen. We'll put them in the chat. But one last question in our final minute for all of you. Share in the chat, what's one thing you learned or an aha moment that you had from this session? What is your takeaway? One thing you learned or an aha moment that you had from this session? Would love to hear from you. Pop it in the chat. And with that, we will invite you to a beautiful rest of your night, your evening, and hopefully a great week ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. Hita, is there anything you'd like to say as we finish off?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Colin. Thank you, Sudeepa, for sharing. This has been a really insightful session and giving us a framework to kind of think. A big takeaway from me, Colin and Sudeepa, from all that you were speaking in the context of the early years, I realized that these qualities of empathy, teamwork, all of them kind of come into play when we encourage children to play. And in the early years, that playground, that play space, that open opportunity that we can give them really encourages some of these competencies to start building from a very early age without orchestrating much and without kind of teaching. And they kind of learn through experience. So this was something that really connected with me. If anyone else wants to share, unmute and share, please do. We have a couple more minutes we can take, and then we'll close from here. Anybody
Thank you.
feeling brave enough to share?
I see you've unmuted, Arasu. I just would love to honor everybody who has shared in the chat. Elizabeth, Urvashi, MR, Arasu, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks once again, everyone, for joining in. It was a wonderful session. Thank you. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful night. Take care.
Thank you. Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
Urvashi.